Yes, Your Honor.
Let's go ahead and call this regular meeting of the East Peoria City Council to order, please. Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Here.
Hill?
Here.
Mingus?
Here.
Sutherland?
Here.
Mayor Call?
Here.
All present, voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please rise for the invocation. Remain standing for the pledge.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and every day. Lord, you are our strength and our shield. Help us all as we continue to fight the pandemic. Ease the pain of those struggling during these times. We ask that you continue to show us the light and enlighten all. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the minutes, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the minutes of the regular meeting held on July 21st, 2020, and the minutes of the closed meeting executive session held on July 21st, 2020 be approved as printed.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present, voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you. Under communications, we have two proclamations this evening. First proclamation. Whereas 1 out of 4 women will be abused or assaulted in her lifetime, 1 out of 13 seniors will be abused, neglected, or exploited in his or her lifetime, 1 out of 3 girls and 1 out of 5 boys will be abused before their 18th birthday, 1 out of 3 students will witness or experience bullying. And whereas the Center for Prevention of Abuse has served residents of East Peoria since 1976, providing safety and support to victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, and elder abuse. And whereas the center has provided prevention education to East Peoria students of all ages since 1984, focusing on body safety, conflict resolution, anti-bullying, and building healthy relationships. And whereas the annual duck race is a major fundraiser for the Center for Prevention of Abuse and is celebrating its 32nd anniversary on August 28, 2020. And although we cannot gather this year, we ask that you tune in to WMBD News on race day at 6 p.m. And now, therefore, I, John P. Call, Mayor of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, do hereby proclaim August 2020 as Duck Race Month in East Peoria, Illinois, and invite all residents to buy a duck and support the 32nd annual duck race in order to maintain the needed services and programming of the Center for Prevention of Abuse. So typically, we have all our ducks laid out up here, and Carol Murner is usually here to accept this, but a little different this year, so we'll make sure this gets in her hand, and we ask everyone to support this great cause. Second proclamation. Whereas, as mandated by the United States Constitution, the United States of America has counted its population every 10 years since 1790. And whereas the City of East Peoria, Illinois, recognizes the importance and the impact of the 2020 census on the overall well-being and quality of life for all residents in our community. Every resident in East Peoria counts and deserves to be counted. And whereas a complete count for the upcoming census will determine many funding formulas that benefit our community, including school funding, legislative districts, roads and highways, as well as many others. And whereas, by law, the Census Bureau collects the anonymous responses to produce statistics to aid in disbursements in order to benefit our cities, towns, and places we live. And whereas the City of East Peoria would like to remind you that it is important for all residents to participate and urge you to take the time to complete the census, either online, by mail, or phone, or by answering your door when a verified census taker visits. And now, therefore, I, John P. Call, Mayor of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, do hereby proclaim full support of the 2020 census to ensure that all residents in East Peoria are counted and call upon all citizens to participate in the 2020 census. So we did this proclamation a year ago this month to kickstart it as a partner with the Census Bureau. And due to the COVID, things are a little bit different this year, and unfortunately, the boots on the ground process of it will not be like it has in the previous census. So they've just announced that they're cutting this count short by a month. So we only have until the end of September. And the reason why this is important, obviously we talked about funding, but federal funding, this establishes federal funding for 10 years until the next census. So it's very important that we get everyone counted. As of today, East Peoria is at a 72.2% reporting rate. It's where we were 10 years ago. We're at 77.9. So in 6 weeks, we have a lot of ground to make up. So please, I can't stress the importance enough to make sure everybody's counted in your household. And those are the individuals living in your household effective April 1st of this year. So, moving on, public comment. This is where we accept anyone that wants to address the council on an agenda item. So if you're here on an agenda item, this is the time when you would step up to the microphone and address the council. If you're here for something that is not listed on the agenda, you will have time to step up at a later time in the meeting. So anyone wishing to address the council on an agenda item? Mr. Soers?
Thank you and good evening. My name is Roy Soers from Soers Enterprises. We have been operating within the Tri-County area for almost 50 years and plan to expand our business into new markets, which is why I'm here seeking your approval not only for our dispensary application, but also ask you to consider another way of supporting our local businesses. The objective of our dispensary application is not only to service East Peoria area, but to use it as a stepping stone and an innovative approach to solving a statewide problem. To speak frankly, there is no difference than when Illinois legalized gambling to fund schools and educational programs. Some of the members here tonight have tried Asian carp in the past. The product was caught here, processed overseas, and then shipped back. Tonight, I am laying out our plan for this product to ensure it is caught and processed locally and statewide. Our team has been successful in finding a way to economically utilize and process this invasive species that is plaguing the Illinois waterways, including the Peoria Pool. Funding for this program has been limited to almost non-existent due to the COVID-19 crisis that has impacted our country. The amount of finances necessary are immense and will take years to achieve a self-sustaining system. Currently, SBA funds are limited. Banks require collateral and private investors offer no solution due to the expected minimum 5-year return on investment. Therefore, we intend to use our planned cannabis operations to enable the Asian carp reduction program to be successful and expand over the next 10 years. Soers Enterprises has not yet been awarded a craft or dispensary license, so we are here proactively setting the stage for growth in our hometown. Understanding the concerns from the previous zoning meeting, our team, which is many of my employees, stand ready to respond and address any of those current concerns tonight. We share similar concerns with our business or city being known for cannabis. We hope to be the face of small business that can adapt and change. And I think the best strategy for our business is to help East Peoria grow and prosper. We share similar concerns. With the state already extending license announcements, we can either sit back and wait until our application is approved while the invasive species continues to grow. Our preference would be to work with the city to approve our current dispensary location or an acceptable location, alternative location on Main Street. Finally, we ask support from the local and state agencies to expedite our dispensary and craft applications to generate funding for this food source. In closing, there are three major asks of the city of East Peoria tonight and hopefully moving forward to the state of Illinois. One, our dispensary location be approved or work with us to provide an acceptable alternative along Main Street. Additionally, work with us to resolve any concerns over the craft facility that we have approval for at 3201, not yet from the state. Support and assistance in expediting our permits, but also dispensary and craft licenses in the state of Illinois. For almost 50 years, we have handled your food. We are able to handle and process wild fish now. We are ready to handle cannabis to ensure success in the Asian carp reduction program. We want to utilize our cannabis dollars to do something good for the city and the state. We ask and would like the involvement of East Peoria and invite them to participate in our newly formed working group for the Asian carp reduction program, including those who support us now, like the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, the Department of Agriculture, the Farm Bureau, Tri-County, federal agencies like NOAA, who's involved, and universities all the way to the West Coast. Give us approval today so we can start feeding Illinois tomorrow. Any questions?
Not at this time.
Any concerns?
Not at this time. We'll address, we'll take comments from the council at the time the resolution is brought forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Soers.
I did bring samples if
Okay.
people want to see what we've done so far.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to address the council on an agenda item, please step forward. Seeing no one. Consent agenda. Commissioner Hill?
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a consent agenda consisting of items numbered 1 through 4. Item number 1, adoption of resolution number 2021-035, resolution to approve payment of the scheduled bills listed on schedule number 6 in the amount of $4,146,336.49. Item number 2, adoption of ordinance number 4512 on second reading, an ordinance providing for dedication of right-of-way for city property adjacent to Highview Road. Item number 3, adoption of ordinance number 4510 on second reading, an ordinance amending Title III, Chapter 3 of the East Peoria City Code to change the number of Class A, D, and E liquor licenses authorized to be issued within the corporate limits of the city. Item number 4, adoption of resolution number 2021-030 on its second reading, resolution accepting fifth change order for the city's sanitary sewer system upgrade project, phases A through C construction project, change order number 5, as listed on the agenda for this meeting to be considered by omnibus vote.
Very good. May I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Decker, any discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I move you that items numbered 1 through 4 listed on the consent agenda be hereby approved and adopted, and items numbered 2 through 4, having been read once by their title and having laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection, be adopted as presented.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Mingus. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call?
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I have 3 items tonight. 2 of them, it looks like I'm reading at length. So let's get started. Be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 2021-032 here to attach a resolution to approve the Riverfront Mid-Rise Apartment Development Agreement with Tacona Group, Inc. be approved. Mr. Mayor, I move you that resolution number 2021-032 be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker.
Okay. In 2019, the city had issued an RFP, which stands for Request for Proposal, for a number of city-owned parcels, seeking developers for mixed-use projects. The Tacona Group was one that came forward and with interest, and Ty Livingston, our Director of Planning and Community Development, and our legal counsel, Dennis Triggs, and Mr. Darrell Dunbar all worked on this agreement, working to get to an agreement over the last year and a half. And so what we have in front of us is an agreement, development agreement to build 142 market-ready apartments down on the riverfront adjacent to the old, the former
Granite City.
Granite City, Granite City location. So the investment will not be less than $13 million. And really, the city's contribution to this project is no monies, direct monies. We were contributing the land as part of this project, and only will the developer incentives kick in when the property actually is completed. Ty, anything else to add?
You covered it well, thank you.
Very good. Any comments from the council?
I'll tell you, I'm glad to finally get something going there. You know, we've talked about a couple things over the years, and it's a property that I think when we first began developing it, we thought, we looked at it as a gold mine, but something that would be highly sought after. And I think it would, except we've had a lot of development in East Peoria, and as this Levee district took off, I think most of the businesses would rather be here. So we began looking again at what could go on that location, and I'm very happy that something is. As Mark alluded to, it's nice to get something on that property because it will finally then, I guess, be paying the community back beyond the tax rolls, and at the minimum investment of $13 million. Pretty excited about that, so I'm happy to vote yes for it.
Any comments?
Sure.
Commissioner?
You know, our city's in hock, up to our ears with Bass Pro and the Levee District. I understand the council before us doing what they did. I don't particularly agree with everything they did on how they financed it and using our dime to do it. I've never been a fan of the city being a real estate company. But I do like this deal. We don't have to finance anything. None of our money's in it. And the property's been sitting there for years and years and years and years. And now it's going to be developed, and it'll be hopefully just a few years down the road, and then we'll start getting property tax from it, and it'll pay for itself. We'll be getting our money back for the payment because we're not getting any property taxes on it right now because we own it. I think it's a good deal, and I looked at the drawings, and I think everybody in this room is going to be, and out there is going to be impressed by what these people are about ready to do, and it's going to be beautiful.
I think they both hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. The only thing I want to say is, one of the focuses that we've had, obviously, as we've built out this downtown area, the original plans called for a residential component, and that kind of shifted gears based on, demand, if you will, and what the city could and could not do at the time, and those that were interested wanted to do at the time. So we made a concerted effort about a year and a half ago on the previous council to focus on residential development that would complement what we've done with the rest of the downtown area. So that's what you're seeing play out. This is actually the second one we've brought forward in short order. And Darrell, I appreciate your persistence. We're looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a very nice project that will only enhance East Peoria even more. So I'm looking forward to it. But appreciate it. Any other comments? Hearing none. Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay, my next one, resolution addressing the recommendation of the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special use permit pertaining to an application for conditional use for a cannabis dispensary. Whereas petitioner Roy Source of Source Industries, the petitioner, has submitted an application for a conditional use authorizing a cannabis dispensary on property located at 1501 North Main Street, East Peoria, Illinois, the property. And whereas a public hearing was conducted July 13th, 2020 pursuant to duly published notice, and whereas the Code of East Peoria, the Code of the City of East Peoria, the City Code provides and an adult-use cannabis business establishment facility requires approval as a conditional use. And in determining compliance with the city code, certain standards shall be evaluated for the proposed adult-use cannabis facility based on the entirety of the circumstances affecting the particular property for which the conditional use is sought in the context of existing and intended future use of the adjacent and nearby properties. And whereas the city code is also lists specific considerations that will be considered when reviewing a proposed conditional use, which include the impact of the proposed facility on existing or planned uses located within the vicinity of the subject property. 2, anticipated parking demand, available parking, private parking supply, and other parking requirements. And 3, anticipated traffic generation in the context of the adjacent roadway capacity and access to such roadways. And whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals considered the application submitted by the petitioner and voiced opposition to the proposed conditional use due to the negative impact of the proposed facility on existing uses within the vicinity, concerns over traffic congestion in the vicinity of the property, as well as concerns related to the availability of parking related at the property. And whereas after consideration of the conditional use application and the criteria for consideration as established by the city code, the Zoning Board of Appeals voted 4-0 to deny the application for conditional use authorizing a cannabis dispensary. Now therefore be resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, that Section 1, the above recitals are found to be true and correct. Section 2, the City Council hereby finds that the petitioner's application for the proposed cannabis dispensary on the property does not meet the criteria set forth in the city code. Section 3, the City Council hereby adopts the recommendation by the Zoning Board of Appeals and the application for the conditional use authoring a cannabis dispensary located at the property is denied. Mr. Mayor, I move you that resolution number 2021-034 be adopted as presented.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Mears.
Well, what we have here, and then Mr. Source spoke at the beginning, in this particular, he spoke about several different business ventures that he's in the middle of, and the only one that we have in front of us tonight is the dispensary property at 1501 North Main. And so the Zoning Board of Appeals listened and as read in the resolution here, made those considerations and found that the application, they voted for denial. And so in this case, I present that case here, that the location was not suitable for the intended operation, and its recommendation is for denial.
Comments from the council?
Mayor, I'm going to say that a number of years ago, when we first started looking at medical marijuana in East Peoria, Dr. DeBoard came with a group trying to put a dispensary in East Peoria. And at that time, the place where he wanted to put it, there were some issues found with that as well. And it feels similar to this. First of all, I do support 100% the business of harvesting Asian carp and using Asian carp throughout the United States as much as we can. Having said that, I'm not opposed to considering another dispensary. I mean, we have it in our city code to do so, but I'm not going to go against our ZBA. So if there's something in the future that does not go against the zoning board, then I would support that. But tonight I'll vote yes, which does deny the application.
Other comments?
I think I heard, Mr. Source, you stated that you were open to looking for another location as well. Is that correct? So I think, and I think, Ty, we can probably help, I'm sure, find it. So I'm not against the idea of the dispensary. I go with what Commissioner Decker also said. I don't feel comfortable going against the ZBA, especially on a 4-0 vote. But if you find a different location that is acceptable, I would definitely entertain that.
Anything to say, Commissioner Sutherland?
Well, I guess my yes is a no this time, and knows how I was going to vote on it anyhow. I'm sure he's well aware of, but no, that was my statement.
Okay, so when the ZBA denied the petition, and that's what we have here, I had a very good conversation with Mr. Source. Both parties have been respectful. Ty is going to work with you. We are definitely going to find an alternate location. As you know, the code allows for 3 dispensaries in the city of East Peoria corporate limits. So as of now, we have 1. So it's not that we're not supportive of your endeavor, just that location is not a good location for it. So I think it's going to be unanimous. We'll be voting to deny this petition, but Ty will be in reach with you. We will work with you, and hopefully we find a more suitable location. So I do appreciate it. Roll call?
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
One final item, Mr. Mayor, resolution establishing moratorium on certain automotive and vehicle-related business uses in the Levee District. Whereas the City Council has previously undertaken the implementation of East Peoria Downtown Overlay District for the area designated as the Levee District, the Overlay District, as well as implementing restrictive covenants on property obtained by the city for the development of the Levee District. And whereas the city established the Overlay District and related restrictive covenants as a means to ensure that uses of the property within or adjacent to the Levee District were consistent with the city's plans and vision for the development of the Levee District. And whereas the Department of Planning and Zoning is evaluating potential amendments to the East Peoria zoning code to address possible development and uses of properties within or adjacent to the Levee District with regard to automotive and vehicle-related businesses located within or adjacent to the area defined by the city as the Levee District, as set forth in the map for the Overlay District. And whereas it is in the best interest of the city to place a moratorium on the issuance of any special uses or building permits for automotive and vehicle-related businesses seeking to locate in the Levee District, as set forth in the map for the Overlay District. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, as follows. Section 1, a moratorium is hereby declared and established on the issuance of any zoning or special use permits or building permits or any other permits of any nature whatsoever, which would allow the use or construction of an automotive and vehicle-related businesses within the Levee District as defined and set forth in the map for the East Peoria Downtown Overlay District. Section 2, the moratorium declared by this resolution shall expire March 1st, 2021, unless earlier terminated by the action of the City Council. Mr. Mayor, I move you that resolution number 2021-033 be adopted as presented.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker.
And what we have here is just we're hitting the pause button. There's recent interest that has surfaced, and it is, as the resolution stated, it's automotive related, and it is not consistent with the strategy that was put forth for the Levee District. So we're just going to ask for a moratorium while we look at, the staff will be looking at the covenants and making some recommendations on how to appropriately update those.
Well said. Comments from the council?
I guess I have a question, because I'm in the dark on this one. Can you be a little bit more specific of what we're not doing or why we're not doing it?
Okay, well, I'll just make a comment, and I'll turn it over to Ty. All we're doing is right now is we're not issuing any building permits, any special uses for automotive-related businesses, such as examples would be oil changes, gas stations, those types of things, until we revisit our overlay district. Ty, would you like to add?
Yeah, I think the consistent with, or inconsistent with the plan, that was originally developed for the Levee District, there was an intent not to have a number of these types of uses here. We've got a lot of other opportunities for them to go, and given that we have precious few parcels left to develop in the Levee District, the thought is those really should be preserved for those things that are consistent with what's in that plan. So we'll likely come back to council with an updated plan that will address some of these issues. But this is really just taking a time out to give us an opportunity to present those to council and get your feedback on them.
Is Costco in the levy district?
They are, and this would not affect them. This would be for any new proposed use. But we've had
Doesn't
interest
Costco have
from-
a gas station?
They do. We've had interest from site selectors recently looking at these types of uses, adding them in addition. And the overall plan for the levy district was it to be more of an urban, walkable environment, lots of, easily accessible, not having so much focus on auto-oriented businesses. I mean, granted, you have to drive here to park and that sort of thing, but the focus was not on those types of businesses.
So this covenant, is it already say all this in the covenant, or are you saying you want to draw a covenant up after the fact?
So this would be updating the levy district overlay plan. So it is an existing plan that would maybe more
But it's never been in a
specifically
covenant yet.
There's also restrictive covenants for this area as well, too.
Okay, so then we're updating the covenant then, is what you're saying?
It would be one of those documents, yes. There's two out there that are kind of independent, but they work together with each other.
Any other comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
No.
Mayor Call?
Aye,
I have 4 ayes and 1 no, Your Honor.
thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that's all I have tonight.
Commissioner Decker,
I have nothing, sir.
very good. Commissioner Sutherland,
I have nothing.
Commissioner Mingus.
I have one item tonight, Your Honor. Mr. Mayor, I move you the ordinance number 4513 here to attach an ordinance authorizing the sale of personal property in the possession of the East Peoria Police Department be read at length by the clerk, and that said ordinance number 4513 be accepted on its first reading and hereby adopted as presented.
I have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. Madam Clerk?
Whereas the city's police department is in possession of various used vehicles identified at Exhibit A attached here to and incorporated herein by reference, the excess vehicles, and whereas the police department has determined that the excess vehicles are no longer useful for city operations by either the police department or any other city departments and are therefore surplus property, whereas retaining the excess vehicles is not necessarily useful to or in the best interest of the city, now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, that Section 1, the Chief of Police, in consultation with the mayor, is hereby authorized and directed to sell the excess vehicles under such terms and conditions as he deems appropriate with or without advertising the sale. Section 2, this ordinance is hereby ordered to be published in pamphlet form by the East Peoria City Clerk, and said clerk is ordered to keep at least 3 copies hereof available for public inspection in the future in accordance with the Illinois Municipal Code. Section 3, this ordinance is in addition to all other ordinances on the subject and shall be construed therefore excepting as to that part in direct conflict with any other ordinance, and in the event of such conflict, the provisions hereof shall govern. Section 4, this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage, approval, and 10-day period of publication in the manner provided by law.
Thank you, Morgan. As she stated, the police department, this is one of their budget-related items that they had, or as far as our budget cuts, or this isn't necessarily a cut, but a way to generate revenue due to the financial situation the city's in due to the COVID shutdowns that we experienced earlier and the loss of revenue related to that. So what we have are 14 vehicles from, I think, Chevy Impalas. We had a Dodge Charger, I think, SUV. 14 vehicles that are estimated to bring between $37,000, I think, is what we're estimating that they'll bring in. Additional revenue for the police department is one of their aspect of their 15% cut in the budget that we made earlier this year. Fire department passed the same thing about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, for some excess vehicles that they had. So,
Well said. Comments from the council?
Question.
Sure.
Do we take pictures of these vehicles and put them on the city website for people to see?
I'm not sure that we've done that in the past. I know the auction has been the process in the past, usually typically through like gov deals. I'll find out, I don't know. Deputy Chief Broderick would know. He handled it the last time.
We know with the COVID thing going around, it may be a smart thing to do is just snap a shot, throw it up there, and if somebody's interested, they'll make the effort, or at least,
Good
No?
point. Yeah, we'll bring it up. Any other comments from the council? Hearing none. Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
That's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Very good. All right. So not sure who's in the audience or what the purpose is, but this would be the time for anyone wishing to address the council on a non-agenda item. Please step forward. Anyone wish to address the council? Yes, sir.
Hello,
Hi.
my name is Jared Vogel, and I actually just wanted to speak halfway on one of the agenda items. I'm actually a business partner of Roy Source.
Okay.
I just wanted to let you guys know a little bit about me. Before this COVID pandemic just kind of wreaked havoc on all of our lives, I was living in San Francisco, actually. And I was actually talking with Roy and working to bring the same type of businesses here into the area. And what started off as kind of competitors sharing like friendly secrets and just kind of helping each other out because we're both local, it turned into me moving my wife, my family, 3,000 miles to come back home. I never sold my home. It's in the Tazewell County. I live up behind Sunnyland. And when Roy first came to me about both not only the Asian carp, but then how it expanded with you guys, just to give you a little background, I'm actually a cybersecurity engineer that used to take apart connected cars, hack them, and train people on how to get into cars. So if this Asian carp program's got my interest, I would most assuredly tell you guys should have a full vested interest as well. If I'm willing to bet my whole life on it, I would just implore you to give Roy all the second chances or third chances or fifth chances to getting this Asian carp program going. And that's all I wanted to tell you guys tonight.
Well, we appreciate your comments, and just so you know, we fully support, and Roy knows this, the Asian carp. That's something that's been worked on and talked about for a number of years. So, yeah, we're not giving up. You know, with the, just so people understand that may be in the audience, and I'm not sure if you're here for this or to speak about the Dollar General, but I will say this, with the conditional use, as you know, as long as it checks off all the boxes, you know, that's what goes before the ZBA, and that's what we'd be looking for, and that's why I think it's important that Ty work with you guys to help find something that works for all parties, so.
And I just would like to say one more comment. After living away for 4 years, I now bring my friends when they come into town to East Peoria, not Peoria anymore.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address the council on a non-agenda item? Mr. Ball?
You brought up the Dollar General, I'm sorry, Jeff Ball.
Yes.
You brought up the Dollar General. How did this happen, man? How did we land a junk store at the entrance of what used to be probably one of the most beautiful entrances to a neighborhood in the city? Cut all the trees out and put this big, ugly, stupid store there. Did somebody come to you guys and ask for this?
So here's, and I
I
want.
mean, I understand that it's
Yeah.
zoned correctly. Okay,
Yeah.
so it can be built there. Does it have to, man? Do you really have to do this to us?
Here's the deal, and this is actually a good night for all this to come together so people have a better understanding. So I'm gonna, little history here. In February, one of the residents up in your subdivision, I'm not going to name her because
Okay.
I'm not even sure if she's here, I've never met her, reached out via email, said she had talked to Walt Smith, I guess he's the property owner, or somebody in the Smith family, and was told that they were selling the property to Dollar General to construct a store. She wanted to know if that was true. I was not aware of it. So I went to Ty Livingston and confirmed, yes, that is true. So here's the difference. For example, Mr. Source has to come to us for a property that he was looking to purchase to put a dispensary there. That requires a special use permit, which starts off at the ZBA, okay? ZBA checks off all these boxes, and they either recommend to approve that special use for whatever that development is on that parcel. In this circumstance, and it was zoned that way from 1965 is what we've
I
learned.
understand that.
Okay, I lived up in that neighborhood. I went to shoot school from
Lived
fifth grade.
ED, yes, sir.
Yeah.
ED, in
I
the past,
did.
yes, you did.
So, when I was growing up there, New Twist was an IGA store.
Mm-hmm.
We loved having a store in that area. And I don't know of too many neighbors that I grew up with that didn't utilize that store. And I remember when Bob retired, Bob's IGA, and his daughter couldn't keep it going, she converted it to a liquor store. When that went away, and we were one of the families that was sad to see that go, because we lost that component. I'm not saying I'm for or against it, I'm just saying it's a private property that was zoned commercial B2 since 1965. The entire time I lived up there, And I've shared this on social media. I never paid attention to the sign. It didn't matter to me. That was always either a soybean or a cornfield there. So that's how that happened. It's a private property. He had every right to sell it for whatever
You know,
purpose it
we
was.
could have got a heads up or something. I mean, come on.
Listen.
I mean, part of the reason I built a house back there was because of the way it looked.
Yeah.
And please don't compare IGA to a Dollar General. I mean, come on, seriously. You know, my family shopped there years ago too. I didn't live here, but half my family did. And we went in there. I know what you're talking about. But they're not the same.
Okay.
And that's a terrible, terrible, terrible location. I haven't spoken to one neighbor who said, hey, that's a great idea, putting a junk store right at the entrance.
Yeah.
You guys, man.
Okay. Anyone else wish to address the council? Yes, sir.
Sorry, I'm a little slow.
That's all right, sir.
My name is Jeffrey McGuire. I just retired from the military in 2015. and
Thank you
just
for
moved
your
back to
service.
East Peoria.
Yep.
We actually live on Harris Road.
Yes, sir.
I have an 8-year-old little girl. And the reason why I'm coming to talk to you guys about that particular business that's going in there is the fact that with the apartments that would be across the street from that at the beginning of Harris Road, we already have enough traffic that comes down to where our driveway is, along with Stoneman is, I believe, the crossroad, that do U-turns. There's no stop signs down there. So during the big garage sale that just happened here over the weekend, we observed almost several close calls with car wrecks, let alone people getting hit that even had small kids. And that's where our concern is with the Dollar General going in down there too, is just some of the traffic flow that it may bring more so than what's already there with some of the stuff that goes on with the apartments there too, on our side. And my daughter will be going down to Lincoln School because of the restructuring that they did with the splitting up of the schools. And of course, with the COVID stuff, they're doing all the digital stuff right now. But that was my concern, was to bring up that there's no stop sign down there at Stoneman. And with the two-way traffic on Harris, let alone what goes in and out of Stoneman, you add that with what's going to be going in and out of possibly that Dollar General. There hasn't been any wrecks yet. I've talked to my neighbor who's lived there 10 years. They haven't observed any, but it's a matter of, well, there hasn't been none, so we're not going to worry about it. It's a matter of when it'll happen. And as me, doing 2 branches of the military and I'm trained to observe and report, that's what I'm reporting to you guys, is what I've observed, especially over this last weekend with all the heavy traffic flow with those garage sales. This might be something that, maybe a light being put in at least to help with some of the traffic flow to bring to your guys' attention on that end.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And the point about Stoneman, I've never understood why there's not a stop sign there. I don't
Yeah.
believe there ever has been, to be honest with you.
Well, I just happened to look
Yeah.
real close this morning, because my wife brought up about the meeting here tonight, and I was like, well, I'll
Sure.
definitely go, because I want to at least bring that up, depending on what other people bring up,
Sure.
who all got up here with you guys, but.
Which intersection does not have a stop sign?
It's Stoneman and Harris. I believe
Oh,
it's
okay.
still Harris there, yeah.
Yeah,
Because it's not Stone, okay, I got you.
and then there's still, before they started building over there, in fact, I just saw
Mm-hmm.
cement trucks go in there today. There's still traffic, I don't remember, not cones, but the A-frame type, sawhorse type construction things down there blocking what looks like maybe a pothole that's been down there before they started the construction too. And we've been there now just a little over a month, as far as in the house that we moved into, that we were actually renting with
Okay.
the option to buy, and I'm just waiting for some back pay to come in for some final stuff I got going on with the VA.
Okay.
That hopefully comes in within the next 2 to 3 months. And that was one of the things that brought me back to the area, so as my daughter go to a good school district, because I went from second grade all the way up through high school in East Peoria myself.
Oh.
And then left 2 weeks later for boot camp.
All right. Well, thank you for
So
your
thank you.
service, and thank you for your comments tonight.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Anyone else wish to address the council? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council.
Good evening, sir.
Jared Coomer, same neighborhood. A few questions.
Has the building permits already been submitted for the Dollar General and approved?
Ty?
Yes, they have. Okay. Another big concern, we've done a lot of humping around the neighborhood, is if they are going to be issued a liquor license.
Ty?
No, I'm not aware of any requests for a liquor license.
Okay. Will it be allowed at any given point?
That's not my determination. That would go through Liquor Control Commission.
Go ahead, Maura. Is your mic on? I can't hear.
Some requirements for distances from residential areas and some other things. And the other two Dollar Generals don't have liquor licenses in East Peoria. So,
Okay, and then earlier we heard a proposal denied partially because of traffic issues.
Yes.
I'm sure everybody's been through that intersection. When you got 30 school buses leaving, you got 100 parents coming in to get kids, and now you have 2-3 dozen cars in an hour's time span, semis coming in to drop and deliver and pick up. Where's the traffic issue start and stop there?
Here's what I'll say. This is the difference, and I know it's frustrating, and I've tried my best to explain it, and I know it's really hard not to understand it unless you've dealt with numerous times, numerous cases. This does not require special use. I know it's frustrating. That's not what you guys want to hear because you wanted a public hearing where you could come and share your concerns. Rightfully so, I get it. This is different than the type of use that they were seeking. So it's a different process.
I understand that, Mayor,
Yeah.
but what is the city going to do when people can't get into the subdivision? When people live there that can't turn in off Springfield Road, now you have backup behind you and accidents are going to happen. What does the city plan to do in such case?
I'll be honest with you. I have a Dollar General nearby our house. Any given time, there may be 6 cars there, 8 cars. Not saying that you're not going to have a higher volume in that location. Listen, I don't think there's a person sitting up here that thinks that's an ideal location. My point is the city has no legal authority to tell Dollar General it can't be in that location, or the private property owner, since it's zoned accordingly and has been since '65, can sell it to them for that. You know, is what we are trying to do, and Ty has reached out to let them know your frustrations, and he is working his best to mitigate any type of concerns surrounding this. I know there's a big concern with traffic. I mean, I lived in that subdivision for years. I understand, especially when school's in session. There's a high volume of
I
traffic.
understand everything's legal that's happening.
Yeah.
But when things do start to happen as far as traffic-wise, with the crime rate, whatever, may go up, is there a plan for that?
I don't know that there's a plan. I mean, I don't know that the crime rate's going to go up. I haven't seen that at the other Dollar Generals, to be honest with you. But I think from a traffic standpoint, those intersections would have to be looked at from a stoplight perspective or something like that. Ty, you can speak to that more than I can, but.
Well, I think it'd be taking a look at what sort of traffic would be generated. You know, what we see from other developments that they have, it's a fairly low, consistent amount of traffic. I think you bring up a good point with the schools. You know, that's certainly a peak time that you're going to have some amount of traffic coming in and out of that subdivision. And that would have to be something that we monitor as far as the ability for folks to get in and out. But given this development, you know, that it pales in comparison to the amount of traffic that's generated from the school at peak times.
Okay. Yeah. And I don't know if it's been brought up at all, but to anybody's knowledge, well, I'll say, of course, this store's going to have a lifespan. It's going to come and it's going to go like other Dollar Generals around the country, time and time again. Does Dollar General have a contingency plan following if and when that store folds?
I can't speak to what their process is. I don't know. Ty, any?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be an eyesore once it folds, and then we have this cinder block building sitting here, and that's what people get to see as they come into our subdivision.
Okay, appreciate your comments. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
There was no answer to the original question about the liquor license. The question was, if they ask for this liquor license, are you guys inclined to approve it? Okay,
So-
I heard what the other ones don't have them, that's fine.
Yeah.
If they ask for that, with a liquor store right there, I'm assuming they want to get into the competition here. Are you guys, is it your intention to approve that?
So the Liquor Commission, which consists of the 3 individuals in the center, would be the ones that would go in front of. They would have to meet certain requirements. I can't answer that until we know whether or not they meet the requirements and even bring it forward for consideration. But just so you know, those are open meetings too, so,
I'll be watching for those.
okay.
That's it.
Anyone else wish to address the council? Seeing no one come forward? Okay, I would, Commissioner Decker, do you have that?
Yeah, I do. Do you want to go with?
Yeah, we could, comments from the council, we'll start with
All
you.
right.
Didn't know if you want to start with that.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll end with that, Mayor. A couple things. I didn't want to interrupt anybody. I did want to speak to some of the comments that were made. I've had a lot of conversations with people recently, and like the mayor, I found out about it a number of months ago. Someone asked me, and my first reaction was, I haven't heard anything about that. And I'll be honest, I assumed that it was zoned residential. I used to own the house at 221 Briarbrook. Lived there for a couple of years, and we fixed up the house and really enjoyed it there. I can't stand here or sit here and say that I know what you're going through. However, if I still lived there, I'd be upset as well. When I found out about it, I assumed that if something like that would happen, it would come in front of us. And then after that is when I spoke with Ty, and he said, no, they are talking about coming there, and it is zoned. And I was surprised. You know, I lived there, for, like I said, for a couple of years, and I had no idea that across the street from me was zoned commercial. I know a couple of years back, maybe the mayor can remember, there was a gentleman that was talking about trying to put some apartments there. I always loved those, I think, fourplexes, those Alexandria. I always thought that some of those would be really nice there. I assumed that was the goal for that property. Unfortunately, this came. And I was as surprised, I think, as anyone when it did. Like the mayor, with Dollar General being close to my house, it's convenient. I've never seen a problem. And I've at least been happy with what I've seen. But it's not, that's a different location. Then I was surprised that the company would choose to put it there. Having said that, and speaking with Ty, and he has a lot of knowledge about how Dollar General, he's been forced to learn quite a bit about them, but that's kind of their business model, that they've chosen to try to go into properties that are close to neighborhoods and try to get the people from the neighborhoods to come shop there. Whereas I certainly understand that. I did reach out, not as trying to do anything other than ask some questions. I've not gotten any responses from the emails that I've sent, just to ask them a couple of questions. Some of the same questions that you mentioned, and just like some traffic and the way things look over time. Because even though it's, I think, past the point where they would decide not to, and I don't know if I'd want to get into the legal concern of trying to ask them not to, but I wanted to make sure that they understood that they're going into a neighborhood and that all of you have invested quite a bit of money in your property, and I understand how upset you must be. If there are any, Mr. Coomer, you mentioned traffic, and I know that it wasn't something that you had. I think otherwise you would have said it. But if there is anything that you all have, you feel that would make this better at all, please tell us. And I don't know what that might be, but I was speaking with Mark a couple days ago about some of the concerns and some of the ways to try to alleviate some of those concerns. And man, he listened to everything that I said, and I listened to everything he said. And I think the mayor said it well when no one is excited about a store going into a neighborhood and the possible concerns that could bring. We are business friendly. The other Dollar General locations have been excellent for the city of East Peoria. We've had great relationships with them. We're hoping this one is the same. But it was a little surprising, I'll just say that. As far as Stoneman and Harris, however, I'll ask our engineer tomorrow to take a look at that. He can do a quick study to see if that location should have a stop sign and see if it would make a difference. And it usually takes him, honestly, just an hour or so before he can get back to me. So if you want, afterwards, leave me your number and I'll get back with you. But, no problem. Real quick, as I've mentioned a couple times over the last few months, Traveling Vietnam Wall is coming to the city of East Peoria. It's going to be right out here. September 23rd is when it is coming into town. It's going to be 24th, 25th, yeah. Thursday the 24th is the official kickoff day. And it will be there through Sunday, the 27th. Really excited about it. It's going to be a great event for such a terrible year this has been. We're looking forward to a time when we can honor those who deserve honor in our country and those that have lost their lives serving in the United States. Many people aren't able to go view the wall in Washington, D.C., so we've been working to bring that to East Peoria. So we're excited about doing it. There are still people that are contacting us about donations, and we really appreciate that. We are at the point where close to the amount for to taking care of the expenses, at least the expenses that we currently know of. We've raised about that much. However, there undoubtedly will be other expenses that come up. So we are still accepting donations, and we appreciate more donations as well. And after it's all said and done, anything that's left over as far as money will be donated to the Peoria Area Honor Flight. We're instrumental. We go to that. We help out with that every year. There are 4 trips a year to help take those who have served in the wars protecting our nation out to Washington, D.C. to see the monuments that they fought so we can have such monuments. So anyway, if you have any questions about that, please feel free to ask, and I'll be happy to answer anything I can. Mayor, I have one more thing.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I move that a closed meeting or session of the City Council be held at the conclusion of this regular meeting to discuss the following matter or matters according to exceptions provided in the Open Meetings Act and specified as follows. Section 2C6, the setting of a price for a sale or lease of property owned by a public body.
I have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Regis.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Very good. Commissioner Hill, comments?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment on the Dollar General development as well, just so that we have, I don't say share, not looking for making excuses. The planning and community development being under me, I get notified of meetings called the One Stop. And the One Stop is, it's a service that the city puts out there for developers. And this One Stop allows a developer that might have interest in doing something in the city to come in and sit in front of all the building, electrical, fire safety, road, sewer, and talk about their project or get feedback about their project. So as far as the Dollar General had One Stop in May 13th, I think it was. So as of May 13th, there was a general awareness that there was interest in that property. But as you can imagine, not everybody moves forward. Again, coming to that meeting to assess or even to get information, that's what the One Stop is for. It's meant to help developers. So you can say I knew of an interest, as others in the city did too, that were part of that, but not everyone knows. And one of the good and bad of social media, I've read most, if not all, the comments out on the WMBD thread, out on the If You Grew Up in East Peoria thread, if the East Peoria Citizens thread. The bad thing is, some of those threads might have started back in March, as the mayor referred to something as back in April or so. And I even read a comment from somebody that said, I talked to a councilman and they knew nothing about it. Well, they asked a councilman that didn't know nothing about the Dollar General. So one of the things when I, after that one-stop meeting, I met with Ty Livingston, the Director of Planning and Community Development. And there were several points, that was of interest to me and as well as Ty. And one of them, from a value perspective, because everybody cares about the value of their home. Everybody buys in a neighborhood. Everybody, that's their investment. So value, safety, and security were three aspects that he and I talked about. And one of the things from a value perspective is that we went to Dollar General and said, just looking at what they did on Meadow, we said, we don't want that facade. We want something different. We want something a little better looking than the facade that they did on that Meadows facility. But there were also things from screening the property to, again, from a value perspective, as well as the security. Lighting, we addressed lighting so that again, examples that if you lived in that area, the gas station's been through so many different names. I know I use that one as an example to say, the lighting on that gas station, when they first put that on, the business that was right adjacent to them was just lit up like daylight. So we can't have that. So again, we've talked to them about lighting, and again, Ty has been working with them with these messages from a safety, lighting, and value perspective. The putting the privacy fence all along. Again, it's partially screening on the backside of the property. The property will have perimeter of shrubs and trees. So again, one of the threads that said nobody's looking out after our interests, and my response was to that thread, we didn't stop the development, as the mayor already explained. It was a commercial development. There's no special uses, no conditional uses. There weren't anything that required it to go through hearings other than getting the building permits and working on the property. So in that regard, unbeknownst to you, in my opinion, there were some aspects that was being pursued with the developer. So that's all I can offer from this standpoint. But with that being said, the only other thing I would like to remind everybody about is the farmers market every Friday from 4 to 7. Mr. Mayor, that's all I have.
Very good, Commissioner Hill. Thank you. Commissioner Sutherland.
Yeah, I'm going to touch base on the dollar. I heard that they were coming in for the first time about a month and a half ago, and I thought they were going to Groveland when I first heard it. And the first thing I thought of was that means that the Groveland people won't be coming down and spending their money in East Peoria because they'll stay in Groveland and spend it. I have a concern about the liquor license request, if there is one. May I ask, did you say the other Dollar Generals do or do not have? Do not have? Because I think that we have plenty of liquor out Springfield Road right now. They're doing a good job at the Twisty. So I would lean toward a no if that came before me to maybe put some hearts at ease out there, because I think it's too close to the school. I guess the $1 million question is, if I could ask our attorney, if we told them they could not come in and they met all of the requirements that that property is zoned for, would we be putting ourselves in a financial pitfall because we don't have, like the word came up earlier, covenants? And it's not even our property to put a covenant on, but there's no restrictions saying that in the way our zoning is. So if we would have said no from the beginning, would they have legal recourse on us?
the legal recourse probably would be the property owner, because people who own private property have rights. And if in fact the property is zoned for a Dollar General use, and the property owner wants to sell it to Dollar General, and we would try to preclude that, even if we were to change our code at that point in time, it's sort of too late. So what really is happening is you would be diminishing the value and the rights of private property owner. And that private property owner, it's not immediately clear as to what course of action that person could follow, but one of them would be what's called a mandamus. They would go to court, and the court would order us to issue a building permit, even though we didn't want to. They would, I think, prevail. If in fact there's going to be restrictions on how property is used, we keep using the word covenant. That's not technically the right word. Covenants attached to subdivision restrictions. What we have is an ordinance provides for authorized or permitted, is the right term, permitted uses within a certain zoning classification. And that property being zoned as commercial, a permitted use is a Dollar General. And if you were then to tell the property owner that they cannot allow their property to be sold and used for that purpose, then we would certainly be subject to a lawsuit. And I don't want to speculate as to what kind of damages might be involved, but you essentially would be diminishing the value of the property owner's property and their right to sell it to whom they chose. So I don't know, Commissioner, if that answers your question, but I'm not aware of any basis under which we would have lawful authority to tell the property owner you cannot sell your property for that use. And once the property is sold, and I would assume, I don't know this, but most of the time in a transaction of that kind, the sale is contingent upon the purchaser, such as Dollar General, getting permission to build. And so that's why I keep going back to the property owner. They're probably the person who is at risk. If in fact Dollar General purchased the property before the building permit issued, if that deal is closed and they own it, then we're in the same boat. Dollar General then becomes a property owner, and we would be diminishing the value of their property because we would tell them what they can't do. So that's what we're really dealing with.
I guess my last question on this subject is, I've never lived up there in that area. When the IGA store was open before, how busy were they traffic-wise? I know it's not the same entrance, I know that, but how busy was the IGA? Did they have?
I was a kid, man. I humped it on a bike, so I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
Okay.
Just went up there by my pop, but, I mean, I think an IGA would be a little busier than what I see at a Dollar General, but, I mean, it's hard to say. I don't know. It was many moons ago.
Your Honor, I might add that, I mean, we can find out tomorrow morning whether or not there's even the potential for a liquor license there. I was trying to find it on my mobile here during the meeting as to just what the restrictions are in terms of proximity to either a school or to a residence. Is there a church nearby on the other side of Springfield Road? Used to be, maybe not now. So I don't know. We could, it could be that it's simply precluded, period. But we can look at that.
I'm going to suspect I highly doubt they'll come seek a liquor license, especially if they didn't down on Meadow. But, you know, those, like I said, those are public hearings, so all that would be published if they did. That way no one feels like we're going to try to sneak one in on them.
Well, and my last subject matter is, I got a little bit of bad news today, and they were working on a building down at the Plant 3 sewage treatment plant, and found enough structural damage and poor workmanship on the building that it may have to be raised. We're working on it now. Not a good deal.
How old is that building?
Don't know.
Oh,
Which building is this, down on 116? All right.
Yeah.
Plant 3.
Yes,
not the real
down on
one,
116.
It's,
See, that plant used to be very small, but what they're doing is, they're making that plant down there, they're beefing it up as much as they can, because all the sewage from East Peoria will all be, that's what the pump station was put in for over on Oakwood Road. It takes everything off of East Washington Street and Sunnyland area that is our sewers, and takes and pumps it up and over toward ICC and then down over to Cat Trail, and then everything else is diverted over there anyhow, because they're going to shut Plant 1 down for construction. I mean, we're halfway home. I mean, they're getting ready to dig in on Plant 1 even more when they start shutting things down. So that means that Plant 3 will not only have to handle what they did before, they'll have to handle everything, and then it'll be shut down if they get full, and they'll make it to where they turn Plant 1 back on temporarily. They'll be able to do certain things and know that they got so many days and hours to get it done, because it's got to come online because there's rain coming, because of seasonal this, or because of, whatever. So that's the plan, and so far it's working out pretty good. But this is, we're not talking nickels and dimes on this building.
And I think the building he's referring to, we had planned to do some type of improvements to the building. And I think they discovered when they took the skin off, some of these
Correct.
foundation issues and some.
I have yet to see it.
I saw a picture today, is when cord came.
I haven't got to see the picture yet.
Yep.
You have
Oh,
more
you will tomorrow then.
information than I do.
Well, he was in here today, so.
No, but I'm really proud of Williams Brothers, what they're doing so far. I just wish I wouldn't have any surprises. I don't like surprises. But like I said before, during the middle of all this, and that is, we're having to do this because of the EPA is making us do this. Now, let's just say they were smart and took the skin off of that building just to peek behind to see what it was made of behind the facade, and they found out that they had a problem. We would still have to pay for it, but now it's a surprise that we have to pay for, which I'm not tickled with at all. I'm done.
Very good. Commissioner Mingus.
Thank you. I have two things. The first one, I'll address Dollar General, and I get the ability to go last here, and I've been trying to sit here and think of something different from what the other commissioners have said, or something that I may be able to say to make you guys feel better, and I can't. And I know that I see Mr. Ball shaking his head, and I understand that. I'm sitting here thinking, if I lived in your neighborhood, I've lived in this town my whole life, I've lived in neighborhoods in this town my whole life, and if I lived in your neighborhood, would I want a Dollar General in that location? And I can't say that I would. So there's nothing I'm going to be able to say to make you feel better, and I feel bad for that. I've been trying to sit here and think of something. I guess where I would go is if there are issues regarding traffic, or if there are issues, as far as we talked about a stop sign, those are things that we can do something about. Dennis has told us that we can't do anything about bringing that location in. Like the other commissioners, I get the one-stop notifications. I see them. Some of those projects go through, some of them don't. I found out about this probably about a month ago as well, and I found out because I think my wife found out via social media and then asked me what was going on, and then I checked into it. So a lot of the developments that come in, we get word of them once they break ground, if they don't have to go through the process that Mr. Source has gone through. When they're private property and they're sold and someone wants to do something, they apply for their work permits, and they kind of go through the process, but we aren't privy to all that until a lot of times it becomes, the idea becomes an actual building, or at least beginning to. So I won't sit up here and try to make you feel good about it, because I can tell I can't. The only thing I can say is if things continue to come up, please let us know, because that's when we can do things. We can look at stoplights or stop signs, or if there are zoning violations that ties work to get, and the lights are too bright, or traffic, those are things we can look at. So I'm sorry this happened to you guys in your neighborhood, and we can work to try to make it the best we can, and that's what we will do, or at least that's what I can commit to doing. But sounds like, you know, it was private. And I was thinking, I drive by that sign every day when I go to work. I've lived here my whole life, and I've noticed the for sale sign. I guess I never really noticed it said commercial. But I'm told that it did. So we'll work with you guys. I know that this council would be committed to making sure it's as easy on you as possible. So that's my first thing. And my second thing is, just wanted a reminder that tomorrow from 1 to 4 at Central House, the fire department will be doing car seat checks. The only thing that we ask is that you watch your social distance when you're there and that you wear a mask. And that's all I have, Your Honor.
Very good. Just not to beat a dead horse here, but I want to elaborate on something Commissioner Decker had mentioned earlier so people do know. Part of this learning and understanding the zoning up there with those parcels, I believe there's actually 3 parcels. This one is the only one that was zoned commercial, and it's the very front parcel. The other 2 parcels are what someone brought forward when we had a city administrator. Commissioner Decker and I were on the previous council, and he was looking to do some type of multifamily development there. It just kind of fell flat, didn't really come together the way everybody thought it would. But those other 2 parcels are the ones that are zoned residential. Am I correct in saying that?
Multifamily.
Multifamily. So just for the record, so everyone knows walking out of here, the other 2 parcels are not commercial. This was the only one of the 3. You know, back in February, because I went back and looked on social media, she wanted to know if she could share my response on her post. And I don't know what thread. I'm not a social media guru. I don't go on it every day seeking stuff out. I do wish people a happy birthday, so if you're my friend, you'll get a happy birthday from me. I think that's important. But nonetheless, I went back and looked, and she had posted my response to her. And that response was this: there is nothing the city can legally do to prevent that. My recommendation was, if she learned this from the property owner, and if she was familiar with the property owner, go back and have a conversation with the property owner and try to convince that gentleman that, listen, we don't want that in our neighborhood, to have a conversation. But I was not about to risk the city, put us at risk for a legal battle when we don't have the funds to fight a legal battle. So, you know, I was very upfront with her at that time. That's when I learned about it. So it sounds like I learned prior to these gentlemen, but at that point, that was the response I gave her. So I'm not throwing her under the bus. I don't know who she's tied into, and that's not the intent of bringing that up. The intent is to explain to everybody that although it's not what you want to hear, I was extremely honest when I learned about it, and I'm extremely honest here as you face this and tell you there is nothing we could legally do to stop it. So I appreciate you all coming out. I know it's frustrating, but we'll try to do our best to work with them, and I know they've agreed to some of the things Commissioner Hill sought out, and they know, I mean, they've gave a commitment to Ty. They're going to do everything they can to be a good community partner. So that's all I have. I would seek a motion to adjourn the regular meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn until Tuesday evening, August 18th, 2020, at 6 p.m.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Mingus. Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Cole?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you. We are adjourned again.